The heart is a hollow muscular organ that pumps blood through the body. It is cone-shaped and weighs about 250 to 300 grams on average. The heart is approximately 12 centimeters long, 6 centimeters thick, and 9 centimeters wide. It has 4 chambers. The right atrium accepts oxygen-depleted blood from the body and transfers it to the right ventricle, which then propels it to the lungs for oxygenation. After oxygenation in the lungs, the blood travels to the left atrium and is subsequently directed to the left ventricle, from where it is pumped throughout the body. Arteries function as blood vessels that transport blood from the heart to the rest of the body, whereas veins transport blood toward the heart. Both arteries and veins link to capillaries, slender-walled blood vessels that facilitate gas and nutrient exchange between the blood and surrounding tissues. The heart's pumping action maintains a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients throughout the body and carries away the waste. The heart is located in the mediastinum and spans from the first rib to the diaphragm. It lies anterior to the vertebral column, posterior to the sternum, and between the lungs. The atria form the heart's superior tip, called the base. It is tipped towards the right shoulder and is the primary entry and exit point for the blood vessels. The lower end of the left ventricle forms the heart's inferior point, called the apex. It is angled towards the left hip and rests on the diaphragm. The heart is surrounded by a protective double-walled covering, known as the pericardium, which helps anchor and firmly hold it in the mediastinum. The superficial layer of the pericardium, the fibrous pericardium, protects the heart, limits its stretching, and restricts the volume of blood inside it. The deep layer of the pericardium, the serous pericardium, comprises the outer parietal pericardium and the inner visceral pericardium or the epicardium. The pericardial cavity, which is between the parietal and visceral layers, is filled with pericardial fluid to reduce friction during heart contractions.
The heart wall has 3 layers: the epicardium, the myocardium, and the endocardium. The outermost layer, the epicardium, is the visceral layer of the serous pericardium. Its outer surface is made of thin and transparent mesothelium, while the inner layer is made of areolar connective tissue with large fat deposits that increase with age. The middle layer, the myocardium, is the thickest. It comprises interconnected muscle cells held together by crisscrossing connective tissue fibers. These muscular bundles contract, generating the pumping motion of the heart. The innermost layer, the endocardium, is a thin endothelial lining on top of a layer of connective tissue. It lines the inner surfaces of the heart and provides a smooth surface for its chambers and valves, reducing friction as the blood flows. The heart wall contains 4 connective tissue rings circle the valves and fuse with the interventricular septum. This dense connective tissue network, known as the fibrous or cardiac skeleton, gives structural support and prevents overstretching of the valves.
The heart has 4 chambers: the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. Externally, the coronary sulcus separates the atria and ventricles, while the anterior and posterior interventricular sulci divides the 2 ventricles. Internally, the interatrial septum separates the atria, and the interventricular septum separates the ventricles. The right atrium receives blood from the body, while the left atrium receives blood from the lungs. Auricles, wrinkled pouch-like structures on the anterior surface of the atria, increase the atrial blood capacity. An opening called the foramen ovale connects the atria in the fetal heart, permitting blood flow between them. After birth, this opening closes, and a depression called the fossa ovalis remains. The right ventricle pumps blood to the lungs, while the left ventricle pumps blood to the rest of the body with higher pressure. The internal walls of the ventricles have irregular muscular ridges called the trabeculae carni. The papillary muscles and their associated chordae tendineae in the ventricular walls regulate valve function. The heart valves open and close in response to the pressure gradients created by the contracting heart chambers. These valves regulate the blood flow by keeping the blood circulation in one direction between the atria, ventricles, and blood vessels. The atrioventricular or AV valves connect the atria and ventricles. The tricuspid valve links the right chambers, while the bicuspid valve connects the left ones. These valves allow blood to flow into the ventricles when open. When the ventricular pressure rises, the valves close. Additionally, the ventricular papillary muscles and their associated chordae tendineae pull on the AV valves, preventing them from opening into the atria due to back pressure. The semilunar valves link the ventricles to the blood vessels. The aortic valve is between the aorta and the left ventricle, while the pulmonary valve is between the pulmonary trunk and the right ventricle. When the ventricles contract, the increased pressure forces the semilunar valves to open, allowing blood to rush into the blood vessels. When the ventricles relax, blood fills the valve cusps, closing them.